Most parents think about helping their children with university costs or a house deposit or maybe a financial safety net. But what if one of the most powerful gifts you could give them is a pension? In this video, we'll explore how relatively modest contributions during their childhood could potentially grow into a 7-figure retirement fund. We will also discuss the benefits, limitations, and important planning considerations for families considering the long-term wealth transfer. Now, the reason why a lot of get-rich-quick schemes can end up being scams is because generating wealth isn't necessarily about investing more, it's about starting early. Wealth needs time to compound and multiply, and pensions are one of the best examples of that. My background's in statistics, so I would love to know what proportion of investors know about a junior pension and then what proportion of people actually use them. Because most people, they don't want to think about their own retirement, let alone trying to think about the pension of their 6-year-old. But that is exactly why junior pensions are so interesting and still so underused. So let's start off with what a junior pension actually is. A junior pension can be set up by a parent or a guardian, allowing them to establish a pension for a child before they turn 18. The good thing is anyone can contribute, parents, grandparents, guardians, even family friends if they wanted to, and they can contribute up to a total of £2,880 each year. The government then adds the basic rate tax relief, which is effectively that 25% top up, so your £2,880 contribution effectively becomes £3,600 every year. So that makes junior pensions one of the few occasions in life where the government is still willing to contribute to your family wealth. And when that happens, it is very important to pay attention and make the absolute most out of it. Your contributions will remain invested up until the child turns 18, and at that point, the junior pension will automatically convert to an adult pension and it becomes the child's asset. Whilst it becomes a child's asset, it is still, of course, locked away until they reach pension age, which does sound like a disadvantage and for many people puts them off about junior pensions. But it can be one of a junior pension's greatest strengths, so we'll come back to that one later on. So let's take our £1 million example. It wasn't a clickbait title. I will show you how it's possible to get a junior pension to £1 million for your child. If the maximum contribution of £2,880 was made every single year from birth until age 18, the total contributions made would be £51,840. With basic rate tax relief, the government would have added £12,960, so approximately £64,800 ends up invested. We'll assume that the investment achieves an annual return of 5.4% each year, and then something magical happens. Nothing. You do nothing. For decades, no clever trading, no market predictions, just leave it to compound, letting it marinate like a delicious chicken in the oven. If you left it invested under those assumptions until the child was age 60, it would have grown to approximately £1 million. Now, when people hear that, they often tend to focus on the £1 million, but really the most important thing here is that 5.4% annual return. Is that realistic? 5.4%, is that realistic to expect for a lifetime? It's a fair question. Historically, global equities have delivered returns above inflation over very long periods. If we look back over the last century, global equities have produced around 5.7% above inflation on average. Now, of course, history is not a guarantee. Markets don't sign contracts. In IFA, we like to say that the past does not repeat. However, the future does rhyme. And that's why even good financial planning can't guarantee you certainty. Our principles for best practice forecasting is to work with probabilities of what is likely based on historic trends, but to apply prudence so we're more likely to overachieve than we are to underachieve, as typically we think that people feel more comfortable with this. The point I'm trying to make here is that 5.4% is not an unrealistic return assumption. Junior pensions don't need extraordinary returns to produce great results because they have such a long-term investment horizon. So yes, the £1 million final figure might be good going, but for a 51k initial investment, I don't think we'll be too upset over 900k or 800k even. So let's zoom back out from our example to discuss what I would say are the 3 greatest benefits of junior pensions. The first is estate planning. For many families, especially those with significant wealth, gifting can be a really important part of inheritance tax planning. If you structure your junior pension contributions correctly, they can fall outside of your estate immediately, avoiding the 7-year rule that other gifts are often subject to. Number 2 is tax-efficient growth. This one's pretty simple. No CGT tax, no dividend tax, no income tax within the pension. That means your wealth has more time to stay invested and to grow without having a tax drag on it. Number 3 is protection for your child. And I'm not talking about the awkward protection conversation you have with your teenagers. I'm talking about the idea that a gift made to your grandchild today can't accidentally become a sports car purchase at age 21. The money is ring-fenced for its intended purpose of retirement. Many parents and grandparents don't actually necessarily want to maximize their kids' spending power. They want to maximize their financial security, and a junior pension does exactly that. It's a gift that says, I might not be here in 50, 60 years, but this contribution still will be. Drawbacks then of junior pensions. I would say that there's 2 main drawbacks, but then they are big ones that can be deal breakers for many families. The biggest drawback I would say is flexibility. The pension is locked away for decades. And now, whilst we did say that can be an advantage to prevent it being spent on an accidental sports car, it also means it can't be spent on university. It can't be used to help buy their first home or used to help them start their own business. If that's a deal breaker, then I would consider other options such as a junior ISA or some trust structures, or even simply just gifting them the money when the need arises later in life. I mean, I think junior pensions are great, but junior pensions certainly are not for every family. Good financial planning is about matching the solution to a goal, not trying to force every goal into the same solution. The second drawback is the risk that pension rules will change, and the government does quite like to change pension rules. I mean, the pension age has changed already. It's almost certainly going to change again in the next 60 years, and you're locked in for that ride. I think when you're talking about such a long investment horizon, policy risk just is an unavoidable part of the equation, and it depends how comfortable you are with that uncertainty. So, to wrap up then, people often assume that retirement planning starts in your 40s or 50s, but junior pensions flips that conventional approach on its head. Instead of trying to catch up later, it starts the race incredibly early. Technically, retirement planning can start from whenever you invest that first pound, and that can be before your first birthday. The key takeaway I want you to have from this is that a high 6-figure or even a 7-figure retirement does not need incredibly large contributions or extraordinary returns, but it does need time. And that is super important because time is potentially the only investment advantage that is available to everyone. No matter what your financial situation is, we all have time, so we should really be using that to our advantage with solutions like junior pensions. Like I said, junior pensions might not necessarily be right for everyone. You might find it more suitable to use a junior ISA or a trust structure or gift in another way, or ideally have a portfolio that involves multiple of these products, but it's certainly something I would encourage you to think about for your children.